What's going on, guys? It's noname4505 here, and I'm actually recording this the day after Halloween, and I kind of wanted to put this out on Halloween, but I was in calculus class during my Halloween. That's how I spent my Halloween, in calculus class. So that was fun, but this is some scary shit right here. This is a 5th gen battle, and everyone's going all dick ride on 6th gen. But I wanted to upload this before 6th gen because I know no one's gonna bother to watch a 5th gen game. But my mic broke, I think, a day or 2 days before 6th gen was released, so I couldn't do that. So that kind of sucks. But we're gonna have to put up the internal mic. I figured out how to do a bit of audio editing so it doesn't sound as garbage as it once did. Or it still sounds like garbage, but my audio quality was never that good to begin with, so it's bearable. Because I tried to record with it once and it was just god awful. But anyways, enough with the ranting. Playing Preserve, found him on the showdown ladder, and this was my last team of 5th gen right here. I wanted to use a Hippo Stout Mag team because I thought it would be pretty fun to use. And then I wanted to use, a few quote-unquote original sets and Pokemon to kind of support the team. So, Hippo sets up sand and stuff, Stoutland, sweep shit, and then Specs Magnezone is there to trap Pokemon like Ferrothorn and Scizor and such. And then Pokemon like Heatran or T-Tart or Rain teams that may give this team some trouble because this team is a little bit weak to Rain. Kingdra is there to help give me a very good offensive check too. And then I have Luwarachi with, I think I had Icy Wind on this at the time because I wanted to troll, but HP Ice is a better option because it can't miss and it has a higher base power. But I was just on the ladder trolling, so I put Icy Wind on there just to see what people would do. And it's pretty much, it lures in the bulkier, the bulkier things like Gliscor and Lando T that are also a problem for Stoutland because pretty much everything on this team is dedicated to Stoutland sweeping. And then I also have U-turn because I'm an E-Belt Rachi, so if they think that I'm Scarf or something, then I can lure them in with U-turn and potentially trap them with Magnezone. And I have a little bit of a little-turn combo between Magnezone and Rachi. And then I have offensive Latias here, and at the time, I think I was using a set that one of my buddies wanted me to try out, which was Extra Belt Latias with Grass Knot. And I've since replaced it with Leftovers because the sand was just wearing it down too much, and I really need Latias to help me deal with Sun. And I replaced it with Surf to hit Heatran harder because I pretty much have to rely on Kingdra otherwise to deal with Heatran, and Life Orb and potential burn damage makes it get worn down too quickly. So that's this team, and my opponent's kind of using a standard T-Tar Keldeo Sand offense team, looking like either Scarf Keldeo, Scarfments, or Scarf Rachi. I was kind of looking at Scarfments in the early stages because I figured that his Pokemon, or that if he wasn't using Scarfments, he would be better off using Kieran Black or Latios in that position. So I figured it was Scarfments, probably either Specs Keldeo or E-Belt, or maybe it's some kind of Calm Mind variant. I really didn't know. I figured it would be E-Belt because E-Belt's been kind of the shit lately. At least towards the end of 5th gen, E-Belt Keldeo was the shit. And then, I don't know, I really didn't know what kind of Rachi it would be. I figured it would be Banded T-Tar, or maybe Scarf T-Tar, but more than likely Banded. And since Mamoswine kind of likes having that extra move slot for Stealth Rock, I figured it'd be some kind of Stealth Rock Rachi, like maybe Shuka Rachi, or maybe a more special defensive variant. And then I really wasn't sure what to expect out of the Gengar, maybe some type of sub-disable set, but with the Sand, I really wasn't sure if someone on the ladder would run that because, I mean, it's logical because the Sand, you don't gain any health from a sub, but he could have something like Wish Rachi to support it, so I mean it's not bad, and it kind of does all right with this team. And then just standard Life or Mamoswine. So let's just get into the game and see how it goes. So I'm going to lead with Kingdra here because I noticed that even though it's not going to he doesn't have anything like Rain or anything like that for me to keep Kingdra around for as an offensive check. His team is quite weak to Kingdra, so I figure I could send it out early in the game to try and get a lot of damage on his team early, but this is Pokemon, so that doesn't quite work out as I missed the Draco Meteor as his Keldeo goes for Secret Sword. So I'm forced to go out to Latias, and he predicts my switch to Latias and goes right for the Icy Wind. I could have stayed in just sacking my Kingdra because, like I said, I sent it out early because I didn't feel that it would be very necessary later in the match, and I just wanted to get as much damage as possible early on with the Kingdra because it hits quite hard, but he was thinking along the same lines of logic as I was, and then I want to keep my Latias around, so I decided to switch out my Latias to my Jirachi, as he's going to miss the Hydro Pump as kind of payback, and this miss does matter, but at the same time it doesn't really matter because it all kind of makes up, because had I hit my Draco Meteor, this Keldeo, I don't think it KOs, but it does a very high amount, like 80 to 90%. So had he hit the Hydro Pump, it would have done quite a substantial amount to me. But then I would have been able to kill him with T-Bolt anyway. And my Jirachi's health would have just been a little bit lower. So, I mean, it kinda mattered, but I would have still been alive, I think. And towards the end of the game, it may have mattered. I don't really know though. I don't really think so because I would have played my Jirachi differently had he hit his Hydro Pump instead of just hitting a Secret Sword. But that's all irrelevant, so anyways, I'm just going to switch out to my Hippowdon because I really didn't know what type of Jirachi he would be. And he's just going to U-turn out of there after setting up Rock, so I'm thinking he'd probably have like Grass Knot or HP Ice if he was like Shuka, he would have gone for that. Just to see what variant I am, but he actually goes for U-turn, so this makes me think he's just like a special defensive set. And then his Mence is going to come in, it turns out to have Intimidate, so I'm thinking it's Mixed Mence more than likely, which again, I think that Kieran Black or Life Orb Latios might be just a little bit better in that role nowadays in the metagame, but Mence, it's alright. So yeah, I know that with my spread I can take one Draco Meteor from the amount of health that I was at, so I just take that and then slack off a couple of times. And he's just going to be forced to outrage, and I'm just going to keep slacking off because I can keep gaining HP from my slack off and my leftovers, while his Mence is going to get worn down from his Life Orb and the sand damage. Alright, I think I'm all caught up now, so his Mence is obviously going to be forced to switch out because at -2 attack, or special attack rather, and being confused, he can't do much to me. So I'm going to go for the Whirlwind, thinking that the Gengar would come in, but his Jirachi actually does come in, and we did see the leftovers earlier, I think. So he doesn't have anything like Shuka Berry, so that play didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but it ends up not really mattering either way. And now his Mamoswine going to come in, and I know that the Icicle Crash or whatever will do a lot to my Hippowdon, so I want to keep that around for his Jirachi. So I'm going to switch out into Magnezone, and just kind of Death Foddering off. Because even though he gets a crit with the Icicle Crash, it doesn't even matter because he can just KO me with the Earthquake next turn. And I can send out my, I'm not sure if I send out my Jirachi or my Kingdra. I actually do send out my Jirachi. See, had my Jirachi's health been a little bit lower, I might have sent out Kingdra there because I still could have lived an Ice Shard and KO'd with Surf. Which I should have probably sent out Kingdra anyway, but I just sent out Jirachi. And I'm going to go straight for the Iron Head because it'll hurt everything on his team bar the Jirachi, and I know I can outspeed because he's a more defensive variant, I'm thinking. And I could just outspeed on the next turn and go for U-turn to get on out of there and go out to my Hippowdon, which is exactly what I'm going to do. And I think he's either going to throw up a Wish or just go for an Iron Head of his own. And yeah, he's just going to throw up a Wish, and I think I'm going to go for the Whirlwind here, so he can't go out to his Mence to regain that HP and begin firing off powerful Draco Meteors and Outrages. But he's just going to stand and go for the Iron Head, which doesn't bother me one bit, because even though Iron Head technically does have a chance to, or higher chance to flinch than to not flinch due to Serene Grace, I'm based on the odds, if he continuously Iron Heads my Hippowdon, I'm more than likely at some point to break through and go for the Earthquake. So if he keeps trying to trap me in this Wish Iron Head war because it looks like he has a U-turn to overprotect, then the odds are in my favor to eventually break through, because Iron Head's only doing around 14 to 15%, and 2 turns of leftovers means I'm only going to be losing on average of like 2.5 to like 3 or 4% on average. So the odds are in my favor to come out of that situation, and he realizes this, so he's just going to switch out into his Mence, predicting me to go for the EQ, which is a good play on his part, kind of. I think I'm at the range where unless he gets a high damage roll, I still can live a Draco Meteor, but I want my Hippowdon at a high amount of HP to take on that Jirachi. So I'm just going to decide to Death Fodder off my Kingdra because, again, my Jirachi, because my Jirachi is at a higher amount of HP to where it could switch in on Stealth Rocks a few more times, as opposed to had to hit the Hydro Pump. Then, then, what am I trying to say? Then I would have death fought off the Jirachi, but I death fought her out, or I fought off my Kingdom, but he actually goes for the Fire Blast for whatever reason. I don't really understand why, but it doesn't matter because he's gonna end up dying to Life Orb anyway, and he could just switch in his Mamoswine to revenge killing. So I really think he should have gone for the Draco, or the or EQ if he had it maybe, or Outrage, but he doesn't do that. But anyways, I'm going to switch out to Jirachi, and he doesn't want his Mamoswine to die, and I need to get that Mamoswine out of here. So he can't Ice Shard my Stoutland if I'm at lower health. And I can actually live the Ice Shard at the amount of HP that I'm at, because I do run some bulk on my Jirachi. I think I run, I want to say 160 HP EVs. I'm not sure though, because this team is so old, it's like a month and a half old. But oh well, I'm just gonna go right for the U-turn after trying to flinch his Jirachi a couple times just to wear it down, and then go out to my Hippowdon. And he's just gonna end up U-turning here, predicting me to U-turn, or maybe he was just trying to U-turn there to wear down my Jirachi so it can't switch in. And if I ever decided to switch out, then he would get the switch initiative, so I guess his U-turn was the better play in that situation. And now that I think about it, that Hydro Pump miss on Keldeo kind of mattered a little bit more than it might have, but oh well. But anyways, I'm just going to Death Fire off Latias, because looking at his remaining Pokemon, Mamoswine fucks my Latias' shit up, T-Tar fucks my Latias' shit up, Gengar I have to risk a Speed Tie with, and Jirachi also fucks my shit up, because I don't have HP Fire. So, I'm just going to Death Fire Latias to that Mamoswine, and Mamoswine really does a number to my team. I should probably do something about that. But anyways, he's just going to go for the Ice Shard on me, and you see it does over a third, so had this been potentially later in the match, then that Mamoswine could have done shit to me, which is why I went for the Pursuit in case he wanted to switch out, as opposed to going something like the Return or the Superpower. I definitely would have gone for Superpower. Would not have gone for the Superpower, because that would just give his Gengar a free opportunity to set up a substitute, since at this point I'm still guessing he's sub-disable. And since my Hippowdon is at a high amount of HP, I know I could still switch it comfortably into my Jirachi, into his Jirachi. So I'm just going to go out to Hippowdon here, so he's just going to throw up a Wish, and he's going to try playing this Iron Head flinch game again. Maybe he wants to put his Jirachi's health at a higher amount, but personally, I don't really see the point, because Hippowdon is just going to, the odds are in my favor to come out of this situation favorably, because after like 3 Iron Heads, there's a pretty high chance that I'm going to be able to break out of just 1. And 1's really all I need. If I can hit to like a third of my Earthquakes, so if he goes for 6 Iron Heads, and I hit 2 Earthquakes, then this Jirachi will be out of here unless I get some minerals. So I know that I can just stay in here comfortably, and eventually I will come out of the situation. And you see that the Earthquake actually got a bit of a high roll there, and actually, let's add a high roll. I don't really think. I think that was a bit of a high roll. I think this normally does like 60%, but it wasn't that much of a high roll. And I'm just continuously spamming Earthquake because I want to get this Jirachi out of here, because it does resist the return from my Stoutland. And he's going to send in Gengar, and now Gengar can do shit to me. And, well, sleep is a thing. But he's just going to go for the substitute. I don't really agree with that play, because it was pretty obvious that I was going to go for the Whirlwind, because I can't send in my Stoutland. Or actually, I could have sent in Stoutland, but because he could have been Pursuit Trapped, so I guess that's an alright play. But personally, I would have just gone right for the Shadow Ball, because switching in my Stoutland right there when he is more than likely sub-disable was just too risky, in my opinion. So, I don't know. I guess it's not a terrible play here that he went for sub, because that would have allowed him to potentially kill my Stoutland, assuming that he hit Focus Blast, but I really don't know. I don't know. But, yeah, anyways, I'm falling way behind here. So Jirachi tried to play the flinch game again, and it didn't work, and I'm able to KO him with the Earthquake, and I'm just going to sack my Hippowdon at this point, just to get damage off on the T-Tar. And he is banded by that damage, so I know I can just go out to my Jirachi and just go for the Iron Head, and that'll do a substantial amount to the Gengar, or it will KO the T-Tar. So, yeah, I'm just going to go out to my Jirachi and do that. Now he's going to send out his Gengar, and I'm just going to sack Jirachi at this point, because I can't let his Gengar get up a free sub, so I'm just going to keep going for Iron Heads, And even if he turns out to have something like Disable, I know that I run enough special attack investment so that T-Bullets will be able to break his Gengar sub. And I don't think you even need to run any because Gengar is pretty frail, but I do run a fair amount of special attack EVs. So I know that the T-Bolt would break the Gengar sub anyway, and I can't let him get up a free sub. Plus his health is low enough to where he won't, even if he sets up a sub, he'll just die from the sand, so it doesn't even matter. And now I can just go out to Stoutland and kill this Gengar off with a Pursuit. So that's going to be a narrow 1-0 victory in my favor. And that was a pretty fun game to end off 5th Gen. I think it was an alright game. And if you all enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and a comment. And if you're not subscribed, I would appreciate it if you did sub. So peace out.